Okay, now it says it's live on Facebook.
Okay, great. Super. Getting the hang of this stuff. Change my glasses. Okay. All right. So I gotta hit record, right?
Yes, I don't see it on my phone, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. It might have to refresh too. So I don't see it either. I do. I see it. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. So welcome everybody. It's Erica Vonderly, and I'm excited to have Noelle Carbognin here for our Thursday night deep dish. So just a little bit about me, if you don't know already. I love helping women let go of stubborn weight caused by hormonal imbalances and hidden stressors. So I have a private Facebook group where we share more information. I have email newsletters. So if you'd like to be a part of that, please send me a direct message or add me in the comments, and I'll be sure to add you to the list. So welcome, Noelle. And
thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm sorry. I'll let you go ahead and tell us and our viewers all about what you do to help so many people in your community.
Yes. So I'm Noelle. I live here in Bergen County, and I have my certification in integrative health and nutrition. And so I have a health coaching business, and I work with people to help them find balance and kind of uncover what their health goals are, and really just to help them support their health with like simple, sustainable habits and tools. And I also have a community for moms with my friend Cassandra. It's called the Mom's Playbook. And we've built up a really nice community and resource where we provide different topics each month and have specialists and other moms come on so we can kind of exchange our stories and, you know, give each other support and ideas for everything that we have to handle as moms. So I've got a group coaching program through there as well.
Oh, that's so great, because I feel like those communities, those smaller communities, really help support, you know, especially now, right? In these times where people are not just looking for answers, but they're looking to see that they're not alone, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like motherhood in general, and just, you know, especially this year, everybody is going through some feelings of isolation. You know, even if we're home with people, it's a very challenging year. So thankfully we have platforms like these, like you said, in these communities where we can lift each other up.
Yes, and your community is so lucky to have you. And the reason why I love having these deep dishes and to have these conversations is because there are so many people that need to know our message, and your message is so important. And just really quick, I just want to make sure that if you're listening, whether it's live or recorded, we're going to go over some easy tips, right, that people can take home, because basically, you know, it's like, oh gosh, I want to hear something about you should meditate, you should sleep, you should exercise, you should eat right. You know, you're actually going to give some really simple, actionable tips for people to take home and to start using today or tomorrow or whatever. And also, did you have like a free download or go ahead.
Yeah. So I have, we're going to go over those simple tools just for creating a mindfulness schedule of your own, and some, you know, adding some things to your toolbox. And then we'll also chat a little bit about inflammation, because I think that's like the biggest through line for all of these symptoms that we're hearing about. And with that, you know, that can obviously be supported through the mindset and mindfulness, but also through nutrition. So I've got a little cheat sheet on how to build balanced meals, which is ultimately going to help people to keep their hormones in check and kind of like fight off those cravings that we're all like doing the loop in our house right now, just grazing and like eating out of boredom. And we'll kind of just put those, you know, hunger hormones in check. So I have my little cheat sheet that if anybody's interested in, they can always message me on Instagram, or we'll put my email info out too, and you can just, email me and I will get you that cheat sheet.
Yeah, well, if they don't have your email, you could definitely drop a message me in the comments,
Yes.
and or just send us a direct message, and we'll be sure to get that really great information out. Thank you so much. I think everyone would love your cheat sheet, and it's just so, so easy, right? It's a cheat sheet
Yes.
to get people on track. And I think that's important, because I did a live video in my private group today, and I talked about just not being able to social distance from your fridge. And it's so much, I feel like it's so much more than willpower. And that's why I talk a lot about hormones and eating the right foods and having a healthy gut and decreasing the inflammation, because it's not just starve yourself, don't eat this, or, I don't want people to beat themselves up because they just feel like they don't have the willpower.
Right.
So
yeah, my whole approach is similar. It's very nurturing, not restrictive. It's about like adding good things in and really just like being able to take that pause and check in with yourself and, just really get connected to yourself so that you can really uncover like, do I really want this? Maybe am I just thirsty? Did I hydrate enough today? Things like that. To really just kind of, I feel like, especially, with families and our jobs and everything that we've all got going on, we don't really check in with ourselves. So it's really important that mindfulness piece is super important for nutrition.
yeah, and I just want everyone that's listening to know I've been on this journey for like over 10 years, right? In terms of I've always been interested in health and nutrition because I've been a chiropractor for over 20 years. But in terms of diving further into functional medicine and functional health and all this like additional like hormonal balance and stuff like that. And so you can't just flip a switch and just know everything and do everything. So I love that you're going to give everybody just small actionable tips, and that it doesn't have to be off or on or all or nothing. Right.
Yeah.
And you've been on this journey yourself. And it's not like, you would look at you and say, oh my God, she's so beautiful. She has such beautiful skin and she looks, so fit and so happy. And it probably, and I know I still want to hear your story. So I was going to say, it's probably not always been like that. So would you like to share your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you said my skin looks good because that's my current struggle. but so my story, I from a very young age was very curious about the root cause of things. When just growing up, my mom has a couple of different autoimmune diseases, and I think the real turning point was when I was in my early 20s. We actually lost my cousin who was only 24 to colon cancer. Mm-hmm. And now recently we lost another one of our cousins to colon cancer in her 20s.
And gosh, so young.
I know. And another one had it when she was 21. Thank God she survived. And, just an extended family. Like, I just remember there being like a few years of like, oh, this person has breast cancer, ovarian cancer. Like, it was just like, year after year, it was something else. And from a young age, I was like, what can I do to kind of understand the cause and not just like settle for like, oh, it's genetic, or, like I knew there had to be more that I could do to support my health and also to really hopefully help my family make healthier choices and navigate through some of the things that we all had going on. So
right.
When I went to school in 2015, after I had graduated college, I went back in 2015, really just for my own knowledge at that point. And then it wasn't until I became a mom that I was like, could be my career, because I never had anxiety before that. And I had a very difficult high risk pregnancy with my first son. And that first year of motherhood struggled with postpartum anxiety, but I didn't even know that I had postpartum anxiety until the end of it, which I can't even say the end of it because I think there's always so many things to worry about as a mom. but it kind of just went undiagnosed. You know, I thought it was maybe just the baby blues, and it was just a very isolating year. And I remember being able, I kind of had my rock bottom, and I was just calling. I had a very colicky first son. And I remember being at the pediatrician. I had made an appointment just because I was like, he won't stop crying. And she just looked at me and she took him and she's like, I'm going to do a couple of loops. Like, you just need a break and some help. And I remember just like crying and being like, that was like, I knew there had to be support and like, you know, other things that I could do, and really to make the time for myself, because when you become a mom, your priorities change, and there's a lot of mom guilt. And so ultimately I was able to find healing through the things that I had learned when I went back to school, and I had some mindfulness training. So really, like, through nutrition, fueling myself with really good nutritious foods, mindfulness techniques, like really getting, you know, I think it's unrealistic, especially in that first year as a mom, to have like a strict meditation practice, but really
Right.
having simple things that you can do to even if it's like 3 or 5 minutes, like, can be really powerful. And then through movement, I feel like that's the quickest way to just like work through any stagnant, stuck energy or any anxiety. And then through movement, I also found like wonderful community through Pure Bar and Cycle Bar. And I found other like-minded people and moms. And that was kind of like the three things that helped me to pull myself out of that difficult time. And that's when I was like, I know that I want to do this and I want to help other moms and other people in general to just feel their best, get back to like the joy of their life. And so, you know, I do focus on functional nutrition mostly, but I always incorporate mindfulness and movement because they're super important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those three pillars, just to
Okay.
recap, mindfulness, movement,
Nutrition and movement.
and nutrition.
Yeah.
Yes, super important. And, you know, postpartum is such a real thing. I'm so glad that it's not really brushed under the table anymore,
You know,
because, like you said, we have this mom guilt and, you know, self-care. My friend just said today, like, self-care is taking a shower. I mean, that's just not self-care. And it's not a rite of passage to, oh my gosh, I didn't even take a shower today. That I've always told my patients is that, how are you going to take care of the people you love if you don't take care of yourself?
yeah.
Because, and you know now, right? Because you have two little ones, that if mom gets sick, like, nothing happens around the house. And so you need to, and we all need to, take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the people that we love.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that whole apply your oxygen mask first. They tell you that on airplane, you know, it's the rule.
Yeah.
So it should be the family house rule
Yeah.
also.
Definitely. And I think also, like, just for the moms, like normalizing, like, I think the term postpartum is automatically associated with postpartum depression. And I always try to remind everybody that everybody has a postpartum experience. So it doesn't matter if it's like not as bad as others or whatever it may be, like, it's still your experience and it's valid and it's hard. So that's, you know, I think just like you said, more and more people are talking about it. And even just aside from motherhood, more and more people are sharing about their own health struggles. And I think it's really through the exchange of stories that the healing happens.
Yes, that's so true. So to know that you're not alone. And I also think it's important that you know that your genetics don't define you. So even though, you know, it could be passed down genetically if you have depression or anxiety in your family, if you have colon cancer in your family, but genetics loads the gun, right? You've heard this expression before, and epigenetics pulls the trigger. So you can have these genetic predispositions and it might never come to fruition, depending on what you're doing with your epigenetics, which is your lifestyle. And like a lot of the things that you were describing just now, the foods that you're eating,
Yeah.
the what you're doing in terms of your mindset and your movement, that's going to really affect physiologically, you know, your hormones. That big one is cortisol. but you have your fight or, your fight or flight, your immediate, your epinephrine, your norepinephrine, your dopamine, your serotonin, all of these really, really important in terms of the things that you're going to be suggesting that the viewers do.
Yeah.
And this is like, can happen over years and decades. I mean, postpartum, obviously you think it's happening right, after a traumatic situation, which can happen. But a lot of times this stress, this chronic stress that we have is, you have one baby, then you have another baby, and then, you have death in the family. Then you have kids growing up and going to school or leaving for college, which, I mean, there's always something.
I know.
And if we let it, keep on spiraling out of control or overflowing our bucket, I always say, then it is going to affect us and we're not going to be as resilient. So
So
that's
true. I
why.
mean, the term adrenal fatigue is being thrown around more and more, and that's just it. Like I feel like so many people are just living in fight or flight, and like that's not sustainable. So, we can only do that for so long until it starts to really break down. So I absolutely agree. This is such an important message that we both have, and I'm just happy to be here and share with you guys. So, yeah, so I will share a little bit about mindfulness to get started. So I think the term mindfulness and meditation can be like intimidating or overwhelming for some people. And so, there's definitely different types. My whole approach, because I feel like I work with really busy on the go people, mindfulness doesn't have to be like 20 minutes sitting, with your eyes closed. That doesn't have to be the only way. There's so many different ways that you can incorporate mindfulness. It really could be as simple as, just waking up and not reaching for your phone right away because you're just like answering the rest of the world before you give yourself a minute in the morning, or just putting on a really good song and going for a walk. Like it could be simple things like that. So I just picked a few of my favorite ones that hopefully everybody can take whatever resonates with them and start practicing tonight if they want. So the first one is 3 deep breaths. It's so simple, but so impactful. So you can do it right now. So just sitting up nice and tall, like for example, first thing when you wake up, don't reach for the phone. Give yourself 3 deep breaths before you go to your kids. Like everybody has 30 seconds to do this. So breathing in through your nose, feeling your stomach rise, out through your mouth, feeling your stomach contract back in. Like really those deep belly breaths. So 3 of those in the morning. Before you go into the chaos of the day, that can really just set your morning up right. And that's really simple. Like everybody can have 30 seconds to do that.
And don't underestimate that, right? I mean, really, 3 breaths, that's going to do, I mean, you have to start with like small actionable things, right?
Yep. And then, like that's something that you can come back to again and again throughout the day. And you're like, I think so many people don't even breathe properly. And it's just so important. The second one is a little Kundalini mantra. And people might be familiar with this from yoga class. It's peace begins with me. So I love this one for kids and also for adults because when our kids are driving us nuts, we have to, they vibe off of us. So we kind of have to take a deep breath for ourselves. So it's, you take your thumb and you tap each finger for each word. So peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And that's just a really simple one. You can slow down, slow your breath down. You don't have to do it out loud. You don't have to have your hand. You can literally do it anywhere. I did it in the Whole Foods line the other day when the line was to the back of the store. Like you could do it before a presentation or if somebody at work is stressing you out. Like this one is one of the really quickest ways to lower anxiety levels. So again, what did that take? Like not even 30 seconds.
Right, right. I love that one too.
Um,
How come that not calm you down? Peace begins with me. I mean, that's
Even
just so
if it,
common.
I mean, I have a friend and she's like, I'm doing it. And like, but she's like laughing. I'm like, at least you're like, like it will, that intentional slowing down of the breath and your reaction to whatever it may be that's stressing you out. That's a powerful one.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
people, like, back to like the meditation, I get all the times like, I can't do it. I could never do that. My mind's always racing. And it's like practice, right? Just like any type of practice. If you're not going to become like a really great baseball pitcher unless you practice. And so you just keep on practicing it. And like you said, with intention and with mindfulness, because if you're just like, peace be with me, and you're like not focusing on it, like, then of course it's not going to have as much
Yeah.
of a benefit as if you just took a couple seconds and focused on it.
Yeah, I mean, these are so powerful. And I think if people start to try them, and I've had this feedback, like, we don't even realize how addicted we are to our phones. And so, like, just the 3 deep breaths in the morning and just starting to be mindful of, if I ask majority of people, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? The very first thing, they reach for their phone. They check their email, see who texted them, scroll Instagram, and then they start their day. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're all guilty of it. I mean, social media and the phone it's very addicting, but that's why I think the 3 deep breaths in the morning, just giving yourself that minute to yourself before answering to the rest of the world, it's really important.
Right.
Even better
Awesome.
if you can avoid the phone for a little bit longer, but that's a whole nother conversation. And then the third one, people might be familiar with EFT, emotional freedom techniques, also known as tapping. It's tapping on meridians, and it's like a psychological way to reduce anxiety. And it's, so there's a whole way you can do it, and you could do it for, however long. But again, for these purposes of being little quick tools, there's one really powerful point on the back of your hand called the gamut point. And it's between your pinky finger and your ring finger, between those knuckles. And so you just tap, and it can be for anything. And you want to feel some pressure, and you just slow down your breath and whatever you've got going on. I mean, if it's anxiety attack, like, I am safe, and just like repeating a mantra over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, even though I am so stressed out right now, I love and forgive myself. Like, just taking that moment. And like, this is really powerful. The gamut point. It's like the oh crap, like I need to pull myself out of this spiral. This is a really great one to come back to. So again, psychological acupressure points. We've got so many different meridians, but this is one of the most powerful ones. And then the last one that is, I think this is my favorite, because it's again really attainable, and I think it's like a really beautiful way to end the day. 1 line a day. So they actually make a 1 line a day journal. You don't have to get that. You can literally just keep it in your phone or your notebook. But they make a 5-year one, which is really nice because it kind of serves as a memory book as well. But again, not ending your day on Instagram, getting that journal and writing 1 line a day. So journaling is so beneficial, but a lot of people don't have time for it, or they just can't get into it. So I think 1 line a day, 1 word a day is really attainable.
Right.
And it's a really nice way to end your day. I'm on my 4th year of my journal, and like, I've got stuff about me, like work successes, or even like sometimes I'll put whatever's stressing me out, and I kind of look at it as a way to like put my worries on paper and not let it interfere with my sleep. Like, I try to, it's just like, you can kind of put it away for the night, and like, there's nothing you could do about it overnight.
Right.
You could write something that your kid did that day that you want to remember, something that you're grateful for. And it's just a really nice way. That's why I do try to focus on it being like more of a gratitude thing than a stress or a worry. But whatever you're feeling, get it out on paper, one word, one line. And that's just a really nice way to wrap up your day instead of, again, the mindless scrolling. And then it's also really fun to look back over the years on where you were a year ago today and 2 years ago today,
Right.
and
Right.
like see what you were up to. So that's that. Those are my 4 favorite little mindfulness tools that I think anybody is capable of incorporating into their day.
That's
And
great.
they're powerful ones too. They're
Yeah.
simple, they're powerful.
So in the morning, we have your 3 deep breaths, we have our mantra, we have
The
the
tapping.
tapping, and then at the end of the day, the one line or the one word. But again, you could do the first 3 like whenever during
Some
the day.
people like to do their journaling first thing when they wake up. Again,
Mhm.
that's a really nice way to start your day. Whatever, that's the whole point of, I think, both of our approaches, like just giving people the tools and then they pick and choose whatever, and you could switch it up, and I think in terms of actually creating a mindfulness schedule, it is so important to actually put it in your calendar. Like I actually have on my iPhone calendar 3 like 5-minute slots during the day, like morning meditation or midday mindfulness, nighttime
Yeah,
routine.
schedule it in.
Because
Uh-huh.
I think when you actually put it on paper or put it in your calendar, that's when you can put it into action. And it's your
Right.
reminder, and it makes you slow down and take that pause for yourself. I mean, I even do it with like water and with my clients too. I'll make them put like a little water drop in their phone to remind them to stay hydrated. So like actually putting it on your busy schedule and making the space for it. And then even if sometimes you miss one, I have like 3 set aside per day. If you miss one, like I think out of the 3, you're bound to make one of them happen, and then you can just get that momentum going and start to build that habit. And once you do it, I mean, I think they say it's what, like 21 to 60 days to build a habit. So once you just get in that momentum, hopefully it becomes a little bit more automatic. And then
Right.
again, like you said, even if it's something you're not always consistent with, you now have, okay, I'm like really freaking out about, I know a lot of people are worried about COVID or their school or everything. Like, okay, I'm going to use one of my tools like to pull me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just picking whatever resonates the most with you and putting it into action and having these things to pull you back more quickly.
Yeah, and like you said, that they become habits over time, and these small changes, you don't even realize they could end up, small habits really can end up like creating massive change in your life. But I guess right now we're kind of talking about, mindset or stress or whatever, breaking it up. But being mindfulness, that I think that's going to really help, be present and decrease the stress. But it really encompasses so many things, right? So you're taking the time to be mindful but in the present, so that you're not in the past, you're not worrying about something in the past or guilty about something you're not doing or supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then so you're forgetting about that, and you're in the present.
Yeah. And I always tell people too, like, you're not going to just do this tomorrow and never be stressed again. Like, I think stress is always going to be around. I'm more focused on how quickly you can come out of it.
Right.
I don't think that this maybe won't work for everyone. Sometimes there's other things that are necessary to put in place, whether that's medication or whatever. But there's other things we can do to support ourselves, and it's like all about the comeback rate, how quickly we can pull ourselves out of those moments and come back to the tools that have helped us. So I actually have a quote here that I posted on Instagram last night that I just came across, and I felt like um, it was really in line with this. So habits are everything. When we are too tired to think, we default to our habits. Our habits are our most critical cornerstones for happiness. So like creating those habits, I think if we all think back to our not so great habits, like when we are tired and sluggish and have that fog, we don't make the best decisions. So, and that also, that's where the nutrition comes in too. But to be able to set yourself up with just even a few good habits to default to.
Right. Right. So did you want to talk about or is that just going to be on your cheat sheet, how to build balanced
Yeah.
Meals? No, I think, yeah, we were going to talk about that, right?
Yeah. So I know, and I know you work with women and on this a lot. I think the most common symptoms we both probably hear about is, that brain fog and fatigue and weight gain, or like the stubborn weight that won't come off the midsection, or insomnia. And I think, like we said in the beginning, the most common thing is inflammation. The gut brain connection, so inflammation from our stress and also from our gut health. A lot of people suffer from leaky gut or have stuff going on in their gut just from our day-to-day stress. So, of course, the most common inflammatory triggers, would you agree, are added sugar, dairy, gluten, alcohol.
Yeah, all those foods. Sometimes grains, depending on how react to certain foods. But then the question is, I know you're going to go over like, a balanced food, but you always want to find out why. Like, why are you reacting to those certain foods? But yeah, across the boards, kind of, I would just say the villains. Yeah, sugar, yeah, dairy.
So those are like the top things to reduce or avoid. But again, I think sometimes those really restrictive programs can be a little bit defeating, or make people feel like, oh, I messed up, and so now I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
So, I always, if it's not like a crisis mode situation where you really got to get to the root really quickly, you can always try and let me know if you agree, like eliminating one to start. And like, I think it's 23 days really until your antibodies turn over. Is that right? So like how you react to food?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, they typically, I'm pretty sure it's around that time frame where you can kind of, if you reintroduce it, you'll be able to tell more quickly. So those are like the top 4 things that I always say, like, if you are feeling any of these symptoms, you really do want to avoid those. It's fun. But in terms of building balanced meals, the most important components to a meal to get those hormones in check and stabilize blood sugar levels: protein, good sources of fat, fiber, super important for your gut health, and then greens and vegetables. We'll just call it. So the combination of those 4 things is the quickest way to get your hormones back in check and to stabilize blood sugar levels, which will in turn have just a ripple effect on your energy, your skin, the bloat and the puffiness, the clarity, like the brain fog, the PMS, anxiety. It is just endless benefits. So, I'm happy to break some of that down, but I do have that on the cheat sheet for everybody, like exactly what would fall under those categories. And, I also think it's important, if you're going through any of those symptoms, don't be afraid to have bulk meals of those good proteins and good fats, because you do need to have those like rested times in between meals to let your digestive system work optimally, instead of like kind of grazing throughout the day.
Snacking, right? Yeah. Which is gonna, usually, and people are usually snacking on, but I'm snacking on a healthy piece of fruit or yogurt or whatever. And I think people's ideas of what's healthy is it's skewed, right? I mean, it's called the standard American diet, the SAD diet, for a reason.
Oh my gosh, I really thought about that.
Oh my gosh. So if you're reaching for an apple because you feel like it's a healthy snack, and you think that, for one, why are you even snacking? You're probably not even hungry. Yes. And for 2, it's not like it's apple juice spiking your blood sugar, but it's still all it really doing is kind of spiking your blood sugar and giving you a teeny bit of nutrients. And so why not sit down and have a meal with, like you said, a healthy lean protein, a healthy fat, and lots of fiber in the form of vegetables. And, if you want to throw in some good resistant starches like sweet potato and wild rice, or, things like that. But, you want to get all those delicious and I didn't grow up eating vegetables. I don't know if you did. Not at
minimum.
all. I mean, vegetables were peas and corn in my house.
Yeah, the frozen
And
bag of stuff.
yeah, so those aren't even vegetables. And so it's taken some time for me too to kind of my taste buds to change, my palate to change, and
Yeah,
to make that a habit, and then just fooling around with different spices and herbs,
yeah,
and I'm not perfect. I don't, I don't ever preach to be perfect. And I've been doing basically an elimination diet probably for the past 3 or 4 weeks. And because, you get a little derailed over the holidays. And even though, I'm doing pretty well, you don't realize, oh my gosh, I'm not sleeping well because you
yeah,
don't have this yet because of hot flashes or whatever, or my joints ache. Those are also another big one. If you start having a lot of like joint pain and,
yeah,
frozen shoulder or whatever, that don't underestimate the power of foods either,
yeah,
super
absolutely. I
important.
think, and also like with fiber, I know a lot of people ask me about probiotics. I mean, I do take two a day, like, but really you don't really need to. You can, if you can really incorporate a lot of fiber, that's what's going to feed your gut the good bacteria. So like I always say too, in smoothies, like chia seeds, flax seeds, they're just things that, and even on like toast, you can sprinkle them on. Nutritional yeast is one of my favorite things to like put on everything. That's a great source of fiber. Um, and then, of course, like just getting more plants in. And for the people that really are not great with eating their vegetables, there are the decompressed like powder greens. So you could cheat and just have a glass of water in the morning and do your greens powder, kind of like alkalize your system before you have your coffee. Um,
Mm-hmm.
get so many servings of vegetables in that way, or even just like sprinkling microgreens on, which are more nutritious than the plant itself. So there's a lot of little hacks that I try to implement with clients that are trying to get used to this new way of eating. But that comes back to like number one, like tuning in. Like I think most people don't realize just how good they can feel. And once they start to, they
Right.
won't want to go back and they'll be able. I had a client the other day who you may know too, like a lot of the reps bring in platters of dessert and baked goods and box of donuts. And so the office staff just there, just like eating all the junk and the not so great carbs. And I had a client who was a sales rep, and she's like, I actually was, because I had a balanced smoothie for breakfast, um, with a good amount of protein, a good amount of good fats. She said, I brought the box of donuts and it was the first time I didn't have one with the staff. She's like, I didn't even want it. You start to look at
Mm-hmm.
things differently. And, it's, again, I try not to be restrictive, but once you do add these great things in, you don't really want that stuff because you do try it and you're like, oh, I'm so much more in tune. And like, I immediately have a headache after eating that donut or whatever it is. So it's really comes back to the mindfulness piece so much of being able to tune in and connect and just be aware of how things make you feel.
Right, right. And setting yourself up for success.
Yes.
Like if she went in there starving,
Right.
it's going to be hard to resist the donuts.
Right.
So, she kind of went in there better, better prepared. And, people, I've talked to so many people who are like, I just want to eat what I want to eat. I just want to enjoy life now. Well,
Yeah.
you might be enjoying life now,
I'm gonna pick.
but what about like the last, 5 or 10 years of your life? And I've had people say, I don't care, so they're just not ready yet.
Yeah.
And mhm,
Yeah. I agree. And like I think they think they're fine and enjoying it too, and they feel
right.
good, but they don't even realize that they could feel so much better. Like energy level than
So true.
just the way people appear. You just appear differently when you take care of yourself.
I
So
mean, just like you said, like that energy level, like not even a new mom, but down the line, right? You're working, or maybe you're not working, you're whoever, right? And you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and you just have this level of tiredness and fatigue that you think is normal when it's quite possibly not
right.
normal, right? You could be here, but you think normal is here.
Right.
And like you said, you don't even realize, and I had done another deep dish with, I think, Amara Wagner, and that we have to tune into our symptoms, right? Our bodies telling us these things, whether you have a headache, whether you have joint pain, whether you have stomach upset, it's not normal. And
Right.
so
No, I
do you
know.
deserve to eat that donut, or do you deserve to make yourself feel sick later and a headache? That's kind of, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah, and I think like we're so quick to just grab the Motrin, and I used to get chronic headaches, and I took so much Motrin, Excedrin, migraine, and now like my go-to is, did I drink enough water? And I'll just chug a water bottle, and oftentimes I'll feel a lot better. Um, and then like you said, like about having that treat, building this more balanced lifestyle will allow you to have those moments of indulgence, because sometimes they're really joyful, and sometimes you're with like some girlfriends and you've got a cheese plate and some wine, and it's like that is so fun and joyful, and you don't have to feel bad about it, and you're supporting your health in other ways. And if you don't feel great the next day, you also know how to come out of it more quickly, and
right.
instead of just being like, well, I'm just gonna have one of those weeks then, like where I'm just eating all the things I'm craving, and
Yeah.
you start to get really connected. So
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like it turns into a whole thing. It just be, okay, well, I'm going to pick it up,
right,
next meal, and
yeah,
not beat yourself up about it. And
absolutely,
plus, your microbiome, I've read that you have like a new microbiome in like 3 days. So if you eat something that kind of like wipes out some of the good bacteria in your gut, whether it is taking an antibiotic, whether it's eating a bunch of sugar, which feeds the bad bacteria in your gut, well, you can turn it around
yeah,
in 3 days. It could be like so much better in just a few days.
yeah, absolutely. So
Mhm.
yeah, if anybody is interested, I have a little guide regarding building balanced meals. So I'm happy to email that out, and I'll include a couple of recipes that kind of give an example of what a balanced meal should look like, and they're delicious. So yeah, what else?
Great. I can't wait to see that too, because I haven't seen your handouts.
Yeah,
So, all right. So, anything else do you want to
I think we've covered it. I mean,
add?
just as a reminder, I do have private clients. I have group coaching options. I have a ton of free resources. And if you're a mom, or even if you're not a mom and you just want to learn more about motherhood, we have an amazing community called the Mom's Playbook. And I just love to be connected this way. So just follow me on Instagram at Noelle Marie Health, and just let me know if you're interested in that guide and some recipes, and I'll hook you up. And this was so fun and informative. Thank you.
Oh gosh, thank you for
Yeah,
helping
very,
spread this awesome message. So they can get a hold of you on Instagram.
mhm.
And we do have like a couple more minutes. Did you want to just mention Mom's Playbook before we hop off?
Absolutely. So during the height of the pandemic, my friend Cassandra and I really bonded. We were friendly, but we got really close over the pandemic because we were both pregnant with our second children. And we were both due at the height of the pandemic, and just all the
Wow.
unknown in the beginning, like, will our husbands be allowed to come to the hospital with us? Am I going to have to wear a mask while I'm labor and delivery? And just
Mhm.
all these like swirling, or what if I get COVID? And all the articles were coming out about being pregnant and COVID. And it was just like, whoa, like this took like the anxieties of pregnancy and motherhood to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So I started going live on my Instagram to take my anxiety energy off of myself, and just connect with other moms, and just actually talk about our fears, and also like what we are doing to prepare, and also to just try to stay calm. So that kind of was like a series that I called Pregnancy in a Pandemic. And then my friend Cassie and I just we had our sons. Thankfully, everybody's healthy, and we decided in October to launch a community called the Mom's Playbook. So it's a great resource, and we have different topics every month. We go live on Instagram every Wednesday regarding our topic. We'll have a specialist in the field or another mom on to share a bit about whatever the topic is and what tools have helped them navigate through it. And we also offer group coaching. And it's just a really fun, like, no judgment zone. We have like some lighthearted humor around motherhood, and we also talk about the tough stuff. So I hope any moms out there, anybody who's interested in motherhood, or the dads even, will be a part of our community. And we will have you on and chat a little bit about maternal health and adult health and how to best support ourselves.
Great, great. Oh, wow. Gosh, I bet that was such a trying time for you guys, and you are the epitome of warrior. So gosh, I didn't know.
Well, thankfully,
I mean, I should have put 2 and 2 together, that you have a 9-month-old and that you did that. So that'll be a story for another day. We don't have to talk about that right now on live, but wow.
The rule about husbands had just lifted, so I was able to have my husband by my side, thank goodness, because I can't imagine first-time moms too. Like, that's such a moment. And I mean, I'm just glad he was able to be with me. I know there's many women that did not have that opportunity. So yeah, it was a wild ride, but everybody's here and everybody's healthy. So that's all that matters. Yeah.
Great. So thank you again so much. And so our listeners know how to get a hold of you, and I loved talking to you and sharing all of your great stuff. And again, if you want Noelle's cheat sheet for building balanced meals, and also
some recipes.
Are we giving the recipes, but we're not giving the cheat sheet on the meditation, the 3 deep breaths, the mantra, and the tapping.
I have that. Yep, I'll include that just so
people okay.
Provide.
Okay.
So just reach out to Erica or myself, and I can't wait to collaborate again.
Yes. All right. So until next time, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great night.